And welcome back, everyone, to day 2 of Strixhaven spoilers. So let's just get right into it. We've had a lot pop up even before the day was over. So we have Relic Sloth. I wish it was a sloth. I wish its creature type was sloth. That would be awesome. But one white, one red, 3 of any color for a 4/4 beast, common, vigilance, menace. That's perfectly fine. That's very reasonable. 4/4 for 5 on its own is playable if you need like that 20 something odd pick, but then you had vigilance, immediately ups up its value, and then you had menace, meaning that it's getting hits in and it does not tap, so it is definitely a playable common. It's not amazing, but it's good. Illustrious Historian, one red, one white, one red, one of any color for a human shaman 2/1. Pay 5, exile this card from your graveyard and create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Honestly, reasonable 2-drop. Play it on turn 2. It will trade, and late in the game, you can get a 3/2. I mean, 3/2 doesn't do anything except be a 3/2, but still, it's bigger body on a bigger body. But you're only going to pay the 5 if you need to. And the only reason you're going to need to is if you're like out of any other options. So there is that. Flamescroll Celebrant, and what is the other card aside of this? Revel in Silence. So Flamescroll Celebrant is one red, one of any color for a 2/1 rare human shaman. Whenever an opponent activates an ability that isn't a mana ability, this card deals 1 damage to that player. Again, I feel like it's like just hate triggering ability or trigger ability hating right now. You know, it just trigger, it's activated ability, 1 damage. And then pay 1 of any color and 1 red to give this card +2/+0 until the end of turn. Problem with that is you're never going to really attack with it, so it's kind of pointless unless you want to try to block something very big. And then Revel in Silence is 2 white for an instant rare. Your opponent can't cast spells or activate Planeswalker loyalty abilities this turn. Essentially, you play this at the beginning of upkeep, they're screwed that turn. It's basically like they had to skip their turn. Now, almost. They still can if they still have creatures on the field, if they still have pretty much anything on the field, besides Planeswalkers, they can still use those. But yeah, this is a pretty good card. Like, this is a shutdown card pretty quick. Having multiple copies of those, no problem. Then you have Cody Vasif. Okay. Let me see if I can get this guy's name. Cody Vociferous Codex. This is our legendary construct creature. This is the guy we actually see in that Strixhaven trailer that was all animated and fun, introducing the colleges to the new kids. 3 of any color for a 1/4 legendary artifact creature construct. You can't cast permanent spells. Okay. You can pay for it, though, tap, and add all 5 colors of mana. When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. Until the end of turn, you may cast this card without paying its mana cost. For each other card exiled this way, put on the bottom of your library in a random order. Look, this, I'm sure, has its applications, but I don't want to be playing a card that's going to stop me from casting Planeswalkers, artifacts, enchantments, or creatures. This is literally a card designed for sorceries and spells only. You can, yeah, I was about to say you can't even cast land, but that's not true. You can cast land. And even so, even if you are in a deck designed that way, I don't see this having a lot of application. You got to pay for it to just get 1 extra mana. I honestly don't see a lot of benefit from this. I mean, it's a cool card. I'm just to see if it has alternate art or if it's just what the extended art looks any different. But yeah, it's not my taste. Combat Professor, though, is 1 white with 3 of any color for a bird cleric 2/3 flying common. Beginning of your combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains vigilance until the end of turn. That includes this card. So in essence, you've got a 3/3 flying vigilance at minimum with this card for 4, which is usable. That's actually very serviceable. Obviously, it's going to be even more advantageous if you can trigger it off of better creatures like some of the creatures we'll get to in a little while. But still, honestly, for a common, that's pretty reasonable. Magma Opus. 1 red, 1 blue, 6 of any color, 8 mana in total for a mythic rare instant. We don't actually get many instances at mythic rare. Sorceries, yes. Instances, no. Magma Opus deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. Tap 2 target permanents, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token, and draw 2 cards. Or you can pay 2 hybrid blue mana, discard this card, and play a treasure. Now, what's the best way to put this? First off, this shows us another little facet of the Prismari school that we'll see later on with their dragon, is that they're treasure tokens as well. Treasure tokens seems to be a facet of this guild. I say guild, a facet of this school. But, I mean, and treasure tokens are great to get you to something like this, but it's like, to get, like, the whole set is more instant sorcery, and honestly, it seemed more like the lore hole were more artifact specific, although, and treasure artifact specifically, so I don't get why red-blue, at least in this set, from the way we'd be having red-blue depicted, is making treasure. That said, if you're able to cast this, because let's be honest, you want to cast the damn card. You don't want to discard that card and create a treasure token. Unless you've got a better play, and it needs that extra mana from the treasure token, you're going to want to play Magma. You'll just want to hold on to that for the late game, pray they don't counter it, and deal 4 damage divided or in the face of anyone you choose. Tap down 2 permanents, get a 4/4 blue elemental creature, and then draw 2 cards. Like this is a very much do everything card. Let me see here now. Grinning Ignus, if I remember correctly. I don't remember correctly, sadly. Grinning Ignus is 2 of any color, or 2 blue, 1 red, 2 of any color, for a 2/2. I believe it looks like it's a Ifrit of some kind, or an elemental, possibly. Play red, return this card to its owner's hand, and add, basically, its mana cost to the mana pool. Activate this the only time you can cast a sorcery. So basically, this is allowing you to, actually, this is a way you can get 2 Magma Opus. It's interesting. The problem I see here is that unless you have maybe like a couple multiples of these on the field, you might get 1 use out of it, maybe, and then someone's just going to take it down with a spell later on. Unfortunately, there is no name for this card right here, but it is a red-blue sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Add 1 to your hand, place 1 on the bottom of your library, and exile the remaining card. And at the end of your turn, you may play the exiled card until the end turn. Until the end turn, you may play the exile card. Until the end turn, you may play the. Okay, I guess I just repeated that twice through translation issues. Interesting. It's a search card. It's going to search you 3 cards off the top of your library. One's staying in the deck. One's goes in your hand. And honestly, use that to get a land, Frank. Use it because let's be honest, you're going to be. Especially if you're playing this early and you want to try to search something out, hope that you get a land there because then you're pretty much going to get a free land, hopefully. And you'll want to play that before you play your land because that way you can get a free land. Otherwise, it's a decent card, certainly. Summoning or summon. All I will say is this basically summons you a 4/4 elemental creature. It's 2 a hybrid blue. 3 of any color summons you a 4/4 elemental creature. Now, we've seen one of these already for the lore hole with the spirit, which tells me that there's going to be a common cycle that summons their mascots, which with Quandrix probably going to be in the next guild we're going to look at, because it seems to be going day by day. The mass spoilers seem to be representing a specific school, and it looks like it's going by the order that's revealed in when we saw the booster art. Or the guild art. So it went lore hole, went Prismari, which seems to be the order. So the next one would be Quandrix. So this one summons elementals. The lore hole summons spirits. Quandrix summons fractals. The silver quills summon the inklings, sorry. And the witherbloom summon pests. So yeah, it looks like we're getting a cycle of that. And sure enough, we also got a cycle of the 4-drop hybrids, which is going to be cool too. This one's an Orc Wizard rare, 4/4 for 4. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy a Magecraft ability, you target a creature you control gains. This creature leaves the battlefield, exile instead. When you exile this creature, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. Okay, so it's a 4/4 for 4 in the blue and red colors, or just blue or red. It's perfectly serviceable as just a 4-drop. You've got to assume that your creature's going to die, which means you either have to wait to kill your creature, It doesn't say non-token creature, though, so you can kill token creatures. So if you got maybe a way to ping your token creatures and just get bigger token creatures, this could work. But you gotta know that these things are gonna die that turn. I think that's the big issue there. Another pretty beefy spell here. 7 mana, 2 red, 2 blue, 3 of any color. For Creative Outburst, uncommon, instant, deals 5 damage to any target. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. Or do the exact same thing with the Magma Opus and pay 2 hybrid and discard this card to get a treasure. It's a little easier. No, it's not a little easier to play. Even though, well, technically, it's a mana cheaper than the Magma Opus, but Magma Opus was only 2 colors in its mana cost. This one's 4 colors in its mana cost. Now, they're 2 of the same color, but still. I'll be honest, too. I'd rather use the treasure with this one than the other one. I'd rather save the Magnum Opus than save this one. It's not. If you can get it off, it's honestly pretty solid. It's 5 damage to anyone's face, really. And then you get to look for a card to the top of your library through 5 cards and put the rest on the bottom. It's okay. It's just big is all. And I get that, and I think that's kind of the impression I'm getting here, is that Prismari does have some powerful spells, but it's a lot of mana to put into them. That's why I think the treasure exists. That's why, that's why Rowan has her ability and Will has his ability to decrease the amount of mana cost, for instance, and sorceries. We're only 11 minutes, so that's pretty good. I'll zoom through a couple more of these. Solve the equation. 1 blue, 2 any colors. Sorcery. Uncommon. Search your library for an instant sorcery card, reveal it, and put it in your hand and shuffle. It's going to search out your card you want. It's a good card. Explosive Welcome. This is a story spotlight. This is clearly Will and Rowan's first experience in Strixhaven on Arcavios, or something, the name of the plane. 1 red, 7 of any color, instant. Deals 5 damage to any target and 3 damage to any other target, and you add 3 mana. Great, if you can frickin' play it. Now, granted, it's the easiest of the 3 we just saw to play, and honestly, I'd probably play this rather than Creative Outburst, and it's one mana more. This thing is just, it's huge. And don't get me wrong, it's doing a great effect, but it's...
did you find out?
What the heck? Jeez. It's just really big. I don't know what that was. I think an ad played and it just clicked on. Make your mark. 1 hybrid, red, blue, white, instant, common, target creature goes +1/+0, and if it dies, you get a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Honestly, a cute little combat trick, because it could pump up a creature enough to take out the attacker, but it will still die, but you get a 3/2 in response. So actually, I like that as a combat trick. I could find homes for that. Mage Hunter is 1 black, 3 of any color for a horror. And this is actually a thing we see in a lot of these spells. One of the Oriq's most powerful tools is the Mage Hunter, a vile monstrosity created to seek out and snuff out arcane. It is a 3/4 that whenever an opponent casts or copies an instant or sorcery spell, they lose 1 life. So yeah, this one's a clock, and this is clearly the army of our main villain, who we'll talk about a little later. His mass minions, sort of. Look, they're kind of Eldrazi-like, but not exactly. It's gonna put a cramp on Magecraft, so it is something to keep an eye on. Wandering Archaic, or Archaic, a colorless 5/5 avatar, rare 4/4. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, they may pay 2. They may pay 2. If they don't, you may copy that spell, and you may choose a new copy for the targets of that copy. And then explore the Vastlands, 3 of any color. Colorless, rare. Each player looks at the top 5 cards of their library, reveals a land card and or an instant or sorcery card from among them, and puts the cards they reveal this way into their hand. The rest on the bottom of their library in any random order, and each player gains 3 life. Interesting. It's helping everyone out with that. It's going to be a weird as hell in Commander. But Wandering Archaic, again, it's not Archaic. It's Archaic? Either way, it's interesting because this one is something your opponent really has to keep an eye on. Otherwise, you are going to be taking their best spells as well. So they got to put the extra mana in. Otherwise, they're going to have trouble. A 4/4 for 5 with that kind of ability is actually pretty solid. Like that's a decent card in my opinion. Stonebinder's Familiar is 1 white for a 1/1 Spirit Dog uncommon. Whenever one or more cards are put into exile during your turn, put a +1 counter on this card. Activate this ability. Triggers only once each turn. This is not a good card. Now, it's deceptive because obviously the Lorehole Guild, or I keep saying guild, school, deals with things exiting the graveyard, or exiling a lot of time. But the problem is that not only does it get a +1 counter when it has to exile, so you have to have things in the graveyard and then exile them, or just exile in general. But it only activates once per turn, and only on it's only once per turn, and you've got to figure out a way to exile things. I don't know. There's better things to do than this. There's better cards to have. Galazeth Prismari. Now, I've actually read this one several times, so I already know what it does. 1 blue, 1 red, 2 of any color for a Elder Dragon. Flying. When it enters the battlefield, you create a treasure token. All artifacts you control have tap this card for any this card taps for any color, but spend this only to cast instant and sorcery spells. I have no idea what the point of this card is in this set. Art's great. It's also the weakest so far of the Elder Dragon set, because we got Quandrix coming up in a second. The weakest physically of the Elder Dragons we've seen. Like going toe-to-toe, Silverquill will take this thing out in head-to-head. Lorehole will definitely take it out. Even Quandrix will take it out. And I don't mean even Quandrix in the sense that Quandrix is weak. Quandrix is very strong, but in its own right. The problem here is that this is an artifact-specific dragon, but it's a spell-specific dragon? So you have to be running a solid amount of artifacts as well as instants and sorceries to make this thing viable. And on its own, it's a 3/4 flyer for 4. I mean, and it gives you a treasury. That's okay. Its other ability is, it's so niche that I don't think this is a very good card, honestly. I mean, it's a red-blue. If you're playing a red-blue deck like a sealed or draft or whatever, it's certainly usable by all stretch of the means. Absolutely, it's usable. But it's just not. It's not all that great, if I'm going to be frank. At least not in my opinion. Quandrix, on the other hand, is quite interesting. Tanzir Quandrix, to be precise. 1 blue, 1 green, 3 of any color for a 4/4 Elder Dragon Mythic, flying and trample. That's another thing too I want to point out. Galazeth is the only one that does not have an extra keyword on it, which really hinders it, I think, in my eyes anyway. But Tanziri Quandrix is again flying trample 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, double the number of +1 counters on target creature you control. So that's very big right up the front. Anything you have a Hydra, even 1 +1 counter turns into 2, which depending on the creature you have it on is a very good rate. But when this card attacks, you may have the base power and toughness of other creatures you control become equal to this Quandrix's power and toughness until the end of turn. This is actually very interesting, and I have my unblockable deck back when unblockable was still a keyword. That has a home for this, certainly, because nothing better than making unblockables and then making them all basically base power of this. But that's the thing too, is that if you increase Quandrix's power, you increase the power of the creatures on the field. Absolutely. So right off the bat, a 4/4 flying trample is certainly good. The fact that it'll double the +1 counters on anything, that means there needs to be a creature on the field with +1 counters on it, but that's great. And then the fact that it can basically, when its guy attacks, turn everything else into basically a physical copy of it is actually very good. Now, again, it's conditional on the field, but Lorehole's conditional about finding creatures or finding spells, and Silverquill is the most unique, and it can theoretically beat this guy outright. But you got to assume the kind of deck you're running based on the schools and what these schools are supposed to do. Quandrix, I think, Quandrix and Lorehole, I think, are the two best ones so far. I think Lorehole might edge it out, but Quandrix might edge it out because it's also much cheaper mana cost too. Like, it's 3 mana less. It's going to be a lot easier to get this out than it's going to be to get Lorehole out. I like both of them though. And to be fair, I could probably find a home for Prismari, but that one's definitely, I think, the least impressive of the 4 so far. Multiple choice. 1 blue, X. Sorcery. Rare. If X is 1, scry 1 to draw a card. If X is 2, you may choose a player. They return a creature to the control their owner's hand. If X is 3, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. And if X is 4 or more, do all the above. So really, you're going to just wait to play 5 and get all this. Because really, unless you really need to get a creature out of the way early on while having this in your hand, like Quandrix or Lorehold's on the field, they're hitting you and they're swinging. You need to just pop it and jump it to your hand, or jump it back to the opponent's hand. Then it's you're gonna want to wait it out. Ingenious Inspiration, 1 red, 2 of any color for uncommon, deals 3 damage to any target, and you learn. Yeah, you're gonna play it. It's a burn spell. It's a very good burn spell. Our main villain of this set, folks, and he gets a story spotlight because of his other half. Extus, Oriq, Overlord. 2 black, 1 white, 1 of any color. Join me for the dawn of a new age. 2/4 human warlock legendary double strike that already makes him not fun to play against. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, turn target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So this thing's already getting shit back no matter what. But then we have Awaken the Blood Avatar. 6 of any color, 1 red, 1 black, which tells me Luca might be also red-black in the set. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. You create a 3/6 black and red avatar token with haste, and whenever this creature attacks, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. So I like the first part of this far better than I like the second part of this, because unless you got some tokens to sacrifice, what the hell is this going to do? The Prismari Amon, the Magma Opus, far more usable than this thing is. Yes, an opponent will sacrifice a creature, and yes, you'll have a 3 black that creature that can attack for 3, and then when it'll deal 6 when it attacks, sure, but ultimately it doesn't have anything else to it. For a kind of world threat to the school, this is not. The dragons can beat this thing's ass, and most of the dragons are capable of beating this thing down. Lorehold could beat this thing down because it has flying. No, actually, Lorehold can't beat this thing down. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's it. But Silverquill just needs some time, and it could beat this thing's ass. Quandrix, again, given the right circumstances, could beat this thing's ass. So maybe we'll see if Witherbloom could beat this thing's ass. But yeah, I mean, realistically, maybe you'll sacrifice 2 creatures, and that will bring it down as a 4. So I guess at 4 mana, this is a much more playable card, sure. Even just sacrificing 1 creature does bring it down to a 6 costing card, which makes it much more viable. In deck, sure, but I like Extus better, because he's going to get your shit back from your grave. Absolutely. And he's a 2/4 double strike, which definitely makes him usable. Certainly makes him usable. But overall, I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad card. I'm not saying either of these are bad cards. Just saying, not the biggest fan of the second half, as much as I am the first half. Shaman Lizard. 1 red, 1 of any color for a creature with haste, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can give other creatures haste as well. Target creature can't block that turn. That's what it is. Yeah, it's fine. There's not much to say. Sinister Domain is a 1 black, 3 of any color instant. You may play just black and 1 of any color rather than pay its spell the mana cost. And if you did that, opponent draws a card, but you exile target creature or planeswalker. You're going to want to allow them to draw a card if it's going to mean exiling their biggest, most dangerous thing or most dangerous planeswalker. Like, seriously. Eye-Bat is 1 black, 1/1, flying, I'm guessing an eye-bat creature, that when it dies, you learn. It's interesting that when it dies, you learn. That's actually kind of interesting, which basically encourages you to trade and get a spell, basically. So that's kind of cool. We have Huge Disappointment, which the Prismari Dragon was. But it's 1 red, it's 1 red. 1 black, 3 of any color for an instant. Each player loses 2 life and draws 2 cards. The fact that it's mutual, I find interesting. If your opponent's behind, I guess it's more useful that way, but not really my thing. I don't like it when you give your opponents cards if you can help it. something poet, whatever the name translates out to, we don't know, is a 2/1 for 1 black and 1 of any color. Whenever it attacks, you pay 2 life. You may pay 2 life, and it gets flying till the end of turn. That's a standard common card. I mean, yeah, nah, I'm not. It's not worth it. There's better cards. Defend the campus. Another story spotlight when the campus is clearly under attack. 1 blue, white, 3 of any color for an instant common. Choose 1. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn, or destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. It's essentially there's a card, I can't remember the name of it, from Khan's block that's kind of like this as well, except it was much cheaper. Except it also gained indestructible. But this is a type of card we've seen multiple times. It's serviceable at best. Rutha, who actually had a story about her last week on Friday. Rutha, Mercurial Artist. Assuming it's not Rutha. It's not Rutha. Where? Hold on. Who was it? Get that out of the way. Maybe it was Rutha. Or Rutha. Or was it? Oh, no, sorry. It was Sudden. Yeah, no, yeah, it was Rutha. That was just it's Rutha. So she had a story about her this last Friday. 1 red, 1 blue, 1 of any color for 1/4. Legendary creature, Orc Shaman, common. Pay 2 and return her to your hand. Copy an instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose a new target for the copy. This is how you can get your Magecraft off. This is how you can copy things. Copy your Magma Opus. That I do want to live in a world where that's possible. And with this card, it very well might be. Spectacle Mage is essentially your Goblin Electromancer. 1 red, 1 blue, 1 of any color for a 2/2 bird shaman. Common, flying, instant and sorcery spells that cost 5 or more, cost 1 less to cast. Not as good as a Goblin Electromancer in the sense of Goblin Electromancer just was uniform, all instant sorceries cost 1 less. But still not bad, especially because it might be a little bit more expensive, but against flying, which means this thing's actually viable in combat more than Electromancer was. A few more cards. We got Prismari Pledge Mage. There's your common cycle Mage Crafter. 2 blue or red. 3/3 Orc Wizard Defender. And when you Mage Craft, it loses Defender. Which, honestly, don't sleep on that kind of ability. I remember the Cyclopses in Is It, which has similar ability. So, yeah, not bad at all, actually. Practical research, and this kind of goes to show why Will actually, his card is more powerful than Rowan's ultimately is, and I think why in lore he's actually the more powerful of the 2 siblings, because 1 blue, 1 red, 3 of any color, draw 4 cards and discard 2 cards unless you discard an instant or sorcery, uncommon. The twins each did research spells to defeat Extus in their own ways. Will hit the library while she just hit everything else. Will clearly, while they're twins, Will clearly seems to have a bit more of a astute knowledge for studying, and therefore allows him to develop his magic a bit more. Well, she's more of a lightning mage and is able to, just be more, sporadic and wild and all that. I think that's why his card represents him as the stronger of the 2. Clever Luminancer is 1 white, 0/1 human wizard, uncommon, gets +2/+2 when you Magecraft. If you can do multiple on the turn, that could become something. Culmination of Studies. I'm guessing this is near the end of the story because they're able to defeat the Blood Avatar, Will and Rowan. 1 red, 1 blue, X, sorcery, rare. Exile top X cards of your library. For each land exiled this way, create a treasure token. For each blue card exiled this way, draw a card. For each red card exiled this way, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So it's a card that's actually going to reward you for milling out and exiling out a lot of your deck. Now, granted, you're probably going to end up losing some good stuff if you're not careful. But if you're late gaming this, ultimately, I think it's actually going to probably work out in your favor. Hell, just getting this to 4 would actually be a pretty nice swing. 6 mana, especially late game, is not that difficult. 6, 7, or 5 or 6. Again, not unreasonable, I'd say. And this is clearly near the end where they're able to beat the Blood Avatar. Prismari Campus, dual land with the Scry, solid. Resculpt, 1 blue, 1 of any color for a uncommon. Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token instead. I'm wondering if we might see this type of effect in all the, maybe some bends and breaks in the set. I don't think so, probably, but anything's possible. White and blue tend to be the colors that do it the most. Solid card otherwise. Study Breakthrough, 1 red, 1 of any color for an instant. Target creature gets +1, +2/+0 at first strike till the end turn. You create a treasure token. So, oh god, what is it? There's a card I know that this is basically an improved version of. I just can't remember the name of it. But either way, Maelstrom Muse. Okay, this is the Prismari hybrid other mana one. If I remember correctly, okay, so 1 blue, 1 red, 1 of any color, and a hybrid mana of that color. 2/4. I believe looks like it's possibly a Djinn, because it says Djinn o Mago, so I'm guessing that's Djinn. Flying. When this card attacks, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn costs X less to cast, where X is the power as this card resolves. So at minimum, your spells are going to cost 2 less to resolve. So Magma Opus immediately turns into a 6 mana card instead of an 8 mana card, which is a lot more viable to play. You're able to pump this up, say with your sudden study break, and now your card costs 4 less to cast. Again, I keep looking to Magma Opus. It's going to cost 4 to play. This definitely is going to have application. This will have application in the the Prismari / Izzet deck. So definitely something to look at and keep your eye on. Last but not least, Frost Trickster is a bird wizard, 1 blue, 2 of any color for a 2/2. A bird wizard flying. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. It doesn't untap. We've seen this ability before, but it's a solid ability. So honestly, I think it's pretty solid. But what do you think ultimately of the cards we've seen today? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Now, ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Super Magic, what if anything you do in the channel. You know what to do. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. I'll see you folks next time.